Hey, it's Noctis. Subscribe to Vincent Valentine EX Turk channel.
Today is E3 and I'm watching the Sony press conference. So yeah, I'm watching that while I'm making this video, and well, we're gonna be doing another E3. This is gonna be an E3 special death battle for two Final Fantasy characters in the Gladiator Arena from any Final Fantasy compilation, spin-offs, etc. You know how it is. We bring two contestants with kind of the same powers, the same abilities, and kind of same storylines to face each other in a Final Fantasy death battle. And now the two combatants will be, to start off, we're going to start with Weisty Cumulus' younger brother, the Vincent Valentine evil deep ground version twin himself, and the true king of the night and the king of darkness, Nero the Sable, whose abilities are to use guns just like Vincent, but also he can use any darkness type of magic because his element is darkness. In fact, if anyone's played Dirge of Cerberus online, you do figure out where the black and white brothers come from, Weiss and Nero. It was actually the birth of Nero that killed their mother, on the fact that there was too much darkness in her womb because of Nero. That's why Nero the Sable wears a straitjacket looking thing with tribal tattoos and a headgear mask that looks like RNA, a High Wings headgear mask, is to keep the darkness from going too far, because his body is made of nothing but darkness due to experiments by Professor Grimoire. Because yeah, unlike Hojo, Professor Grimoire used a bunch of different formulas than just Genova cells to make the black and white brothers of the Deep Ground Army. So he's pretty much one of the strongest darkness wielders ever, even stronger than Kingdom Hearts' Xemnas. Only they threw compilation characters, which they know they won't in Kingdom Hearts. I could see, Nero being, like, really dark and, really, like, just pretty much the originator of all the Heartless. But nonetheless, Nero the Sable, and not only he could use darkness and stuff like that in his pistols, but Nero the Sable, when you fight him as Vincent Valentine, he could also multiply himself and fight you with multiple copies. And also Nero the Sable's body is agile and fast. Due to his slim figure, he's even more slimmer than Vincent Valentine. He's a little bit faster than Vincent Valentine as well. Also, Nero, he could also do speed and razor blade kicks through his straitjacket outfit. Also, Nero the Sable, like all the other Sphiats, has transformations. Nero transforms into a spider. And then, after you defeat his spider form, he turns into nothing but pure darkness. But he can trap you in a world of darkness, which will power him up, pretty much giving him the home field advantage, but still Vincent was able to beat him somehow, some way. And Xanad, let's go to our next Gladiator contender, Xanad from Final Fantasy 3. Pretty much the true villain of Final Fantasy 3. Because after his death, his darkness turned into Cloud of Darkness. Part of him turned into Cloud of Darkness, so pretty much Cloud of Darkness actually came from Xanad. Xanad can use a bunch of magic and abilities, but he's mostly a dark user as well, like Nero the Sable. Except since he's a lot bigger, he's more of a tank version, so he's pretty much a little slower than Nero. So Nero would probably win with speed, because Nero's body is very slender. Not to say Xanad's body isn't, powerful at all. Xanad is built like Hulk Hogan. You pretty much could call him the black mage, dark, evil entity Hulk Hogan. Versus a very slender guy with the power of darkness. So, his physical But I'd have to say Zanad's physical strength is a lot more due to his build. Because he's built like Barret. You know, but nonetheless, he doesn't focus on strength. He focuses mostly on magic because Zanad is also a mage too, as well. So, I'd have to say Zanad's magic usage is a lot higher because he's an actual mage. Nero pretty much only depends on his darkness technique and send you to the world of darkness in order to gain a field advantage. And if somehow Zanad was to disable Nero from sending you to his world to fight, it'd give a disadvantage. But even though Nero's still faster, so Nero's speed could take care of it, plus his multiple forms. And I don't think Zanad's ever fought anyone who can do multiple forms like Nero could, you know. And Zanad's only a mage, and he does get defeated, and then find out the real villain was the true embodiment of darkness, Cloud of Darkness. So I guess if you could count Zanad's form as Cloud of Darkness, but there are two different characters, so I'm not going to count them as, you know, I'm not going to count them as the same character. We're only going to focus on Zanad. So Zanad's strength is a lot more due to the fact of his body build. You know, Nero's faster because of his build, and Zanad's magic is a lot stronger because he's an actual mage. You know, made out of the darkness. And you know, so and when it comes to like tactician, like when it comes to smarts, I'd have to say Nero the Sable would win because Nero the Sable would know better. Nero the Sable would know better enough. Nero the Sable would know better enough to overwhelm his opponents, just like he did with Vincent. Like, he'll just trick Vincent into thinking that it's only him just fighting with his guns and stuff like that. Then he'll pull out the multi-form in the middle of the battle to confuse Zanad. And then, if he gets defeated by Zanad, he'll act like he's defeated, and then Zanad would think he has victory, which will cause Zanad to be too egotistical. Thus, Nero will spring the Arch of Nero Spire form and use his, eradication beams from those Illuminati eye looking things that you fight. And then even if he can defeat him, he turns to pure darkness. And then when he turns to pure darkness, he's completely powerful. In fact, arguably, he could probably defeat his older brother Vice, in the first form, in the first battle, with this form. So Nero the Sable, if I could go with power scale, Nero the Sable would have to be the strength of Sephiroth and Crisis Core. Just with his darkness, because that's why he has to wear the straight jacket and the tribal tattoos. It's to put a limit on it so he doesn't harm his brother or any of the Spheats. But let's just say Zanad accidentally destroyed his outfit. Pretty much, the darkness that Nero has will swallow him up and destroy him and evaporate him. Pretty much. And even if you had because if you remember when Yuffie got trapped into Nero's darkness, the force field that Vincent put up, it was cracking really badly. So if you could imagine if the limit tattoos were removed or the suit was removed, Nero would be able to pretty much evaporate Zanad. Zanad is darkness, which, still. So, pretty much, yeah. I'd have to say Nero would win because he uses smarts. Even if he, couldn't use the world of darkness, he could still transform the Arch and Nero. And then after that, Nero could, Nero would probably evaporate him by taking the limiter off. When he takes his arms out of the straitjacket and takes the mask off and headgear, pretty much it would obliterate Zanad before he could transform into Cloud of Darkness. So that battle would go to Nero the Sable from Final Fantasy VII Dirge servers. So may the crystal be with you and enjoy E3.
with your mess, ayy. Can't keep my dick in my pants, ayy. My bitch don't love me no more, ayy. She kick me out on life, bro.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Yeah.